I gotta clean my glasses now. I just made them dirtier.
Okay. That's always fun.
I'm making a mess. Yo. We'll see where it goes. You're the one.
Okay.
You're the hypnotherapist.
Okay.
Super dee-doo. Awesome. Well, here we are doing, lucky enough to have a wonderful guest with us today. We originally met on a radio show that I take part in, 100.3, the Sports Ticket. And it's Rene Brent. She's a hypnotherapist and a nurse. She's been in nursing some 30 years, right, Rene?
Yeah. Yes.
You've done ICU and
ER
you've done it all.
Yep.
It's first of all, I'm glad that you agreed to come in and talk.
Oh, I'm happy to. No, I know. Robbie, the guy on there, he's like, I didn't even get a chance to ask you any questions because you and I got to hit it off and we started talking about some things. So it's a perfect continuation of that. That's for sure. And no, I'm so happy to be here. I love talking about this work. I don't think we talk enough about practicality of how to make changes in our life. So I'm happy to get out there and talk to anybody who'll listen to me about it, to be honest. I love it.
Well, you could tell when I talked to you on the radio, right? I was like, Robbie was in the control room and he's like trying to question. I'm going like, hold on, Robbie. I had to ask more and more questions because just as baseball to me is, and softball, they're like, the mental game on this is just amazing. Yeah, it's so hard. It's the one of the few games that there's more failure built into it than success. So you can imagine the pitfalls of that and so people don't really know how to handle this, and a lot of people are trying to get their arms around it. Some people are just use the tough love method. I think a lot of people don't understand the ramifications of their words, right, when they're talking to somebody. Like,
for sure.
And talking with you on the side and on the phone, what we've discussed before, it's true, right? I mean, it's people can be self-sabotaging, or parents can be saying the wrong things. They can be going about it completely going in the wrong direction.
Yes.
So what better than to have somebody on here that is totally involved in this and been at it for a while now. And so my first question is, what do you think the biggest things that players do wrong, or parents, you can answer this any way you want, that might get them off on the wrong foot? Or what do you see as the most widespread misnomer or whatever of people trying to get a positive mental state, or not being able to find that state of mind, right? Where they're being constructive all the time, or just being negative all the time. What do you see as what people are doing wrong most of the time compared to?
That's a big question. That's a big question.
That's
So
a big question.
That is huge, right? Like, really big. I'm going to break it down. Yeah, it's great. It's a great launching pad. So here we go, Scott. So this is what I want your listeners to know, which is also, I see many athletes in my office who just can't get to the next level, or sabotaging, or even young. I have young athletes, young gymnasts who were ready to go and train for Olympics. And then all of a sudden they can't do their big moves, right? It's just fear and self-sabotaging. And they come to me to figure it out. It's not conscious. Players are not doing this. Athletes are not doing this consciously. They're really doing it subconsciously, in this part of the brain that holds all of their beliefs about themselves and all their experience and all their coaching and all their parenting. And from there, we get imprinted with certain beliefs about ourselves. Now, and when we're younger than 10 around, children are always in this hypnotic brainwave. Hypnosis is only a change in a brainwave, right? So, and when you slow down the brainwaves, now we have access to the subconscious, that kind of part of your brain that holds all those beliefs and hurts and are really strong. The subconscious mind is about 95% of what people filter through the day without even knowing it, right? That's what makes it subconscious, right? Automatic. And the subconscious mind only wants to be right. It wants to be right, and it wants to be right now. So if we have a craving or an urge and we think, no, I can't go out tonight because I have a game tomorrow, right? If they want now and they want to feel better, they're going to go out without any consequences tomorrow, because the subconscious doesn't know consequences for tomorrow. So let me backtrack with children. So when they're in this hypnotic brainwave, this slower brainwave, they're imprinting all the time. They're automatically learning how to do something, because the mind likes how to do something automatically, because we have other things to learn. Like your athlete, when you were learning, Scott, if you had to practice one thing and that's the only thing you did, it would take you a long time to be really good at the game. But you learn it, you practice it, you repeat it, you repeat it again, and then you go on to the next thing and you do the next skill, right? You do this with your players.
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
So what's happening there is the neurons are saying, oh, we're repeating this. Let's just make it automatic so we can go on to the next thing already, right? It's incredible that we're designed this way. And so it goes, so we go to the next thing, and children are incredible observers. This is why when they're young, they learn the game so quick, right? They pick it up, especially if they have that innate talent. They pick it up very quickly. But they're terrible interpreters. So let's say you have someone who's being coached, which I know a lot of athletes start very young, right? Younger than 10. If they had a coach or a parent who's a coach or parenting that kept saying, not good enough, do it again. Nope, you got to do it again. Repeat. Why did you do that? Why did you make that mistake? You should be doing blah, blah, blah. With this kind of aggressive tone, the child may be hearing, I am not good enough. And now we've just imprinted, I'm not good enough. And I have to tell you, a lot of my athletes, and you probably know many, many yourself, who will say, good is not great and great is not enough. And when you're in your mind thinking that that's helping you be better at the game, you're wrong. Because I am not ever going to be good enough, and I'm fighting against myself. And you know how you do, in a season you're doing really good, and sometimes you're just off your balance a little bit for many reasons, right?
Right.
Injury, chemistry in your body, especially as boys and girls grow athletically, they may be in a little bit of a hormonal balance, right? And if they're getting blasted, no, do it again, not great. They're up against a lot of chemistry. I am never going to be good enough at this game. It helps children move forward a little bit, but man, not good enough is a difficult belief system to hold on. Or I'm failing, right? Or I am not capable, or even I'm alone. If a child athlete is not being heard in what they want and what they need, maybe a family dynamics, everybody's been basketball players, but this kid really wants to be a baseball player. So now he's pushed into basketball and he's not playing baseball, right? He's not being heard, which can lead to I am alone. And those beliefs very young are the lens we see ourselves through in sports, even with success and all of it. We still, in that deep part of us believes we're not good enough, not capable.
So the parent who's like that, it's like, we've been over this 100 times.
Right.
Why aren't you getting it right? Let's go. What are you, are you stupid? You can do better than that.
Yep. You've heard it. Mm-hmm.
Right. So they're thinking they're motivating.
Yeah.
Just get it right. They're not realizing the impact that the child is listening to. I'm not worthy. Yeah. I'm not good enough.
I'm stupid. You just said it. I'm stupid. So they believe they're stupid, but they're not stupid, right? Because athletes are both, right? They're really, really bright. All the best athletes that I know that I've worked with can see 5 steps ahead of everybody else. You can't be stupid and do that. Right. You can't be stupid and be able to see just the intricacies of what's going on in a game and be stupid. So it doesn't make sense when my athletes tell me that I feel like I'm stupid. I'm like, man, see it from a different perspective. But parents and coaches have the highest intention. They really do. But the children, especially very young, are imprinting, and that's what their subconscious mind believes. And something else happens when that goes on. Now we all have a part of our ego system, inner child, inner critic, and adult ego. So if you've been coached or you've been parenting from, do it again, that's not enough, I told you, do it again. They're always hearing not good enough. So now, instead of hearing it from their coach or hearing it from their parent, right? They start criticizing themselves. And what is born? That mean, nasty, bully inner critic that's saying, nope, you're not good enough. You're not good enough. Because we'd rather hear ourselves say it than anyone else come in and do it.
Do you think that any of these players could view it another way? Like, they're right, and they get to work, and they work harder and they work harder, and it actually makes them focus. Have you ever seen it work the opposite direction?
Absolutely. So this is what I notice. It can be a great motivator. It can. And you know, the highest emotion will always win. So if fear of failing motivates them to go and run a really great game, that's great. But what's happening in that setting, especially with the athletes that I move sometimes into transition from successful professional player, or even, you know, semi-amateur, into just like, you know, not being in that, all their sense of self and accomplishment and sense of well-being is external. It's with the game, it's with the stats, it's with the money, and it's external. So now if they stop playing, what happens with all that external gratification that help you from feeling not good enough? It goes away, and people feel
And what
really
happens
lost.
if you're what happens if you're in a slump?
Yes.
Well, your external input that you're getting back is not good, right? Because
right.
you're not playing well. So now, I'm validating my
yeah,
my
there exactly.
Right?
Yeah, and then the chemistry of that just elevates. And when your players, or even you in your history, when you got anxious or you start spinning around in the negative what ifs happens, right? What you're doing is creating really caustic chemistry that affects you physically, affects your muscles, sometimes your ability to fully extend or run as fast as you want, because you're bogged down with just trying to hold down all this garbage in your own head, this chemistry.
Right.
And you feel a little more sluggish because of that. But also something else happens. So when we worry, my second book, Breaking the Worry Agreement, I just launched it in May. It's really about when you're worrying about the future, and nobody worries about the positives, right? I wonder if it's going to be a great game and we're going to win. No, people are like, worst case scenario. It's never positive. So when you're worrying, you're giving a lot of energy out there and you're not here. And worry leads to fear, and fear absolutely 100% leads to anxiety. I have a whole chapter about it in the book, about the chemistry of that and the mental thing that goes on with that. What happens when you're in fear, we get elevated in a high brainwave called high beta brainwave, and we go into fight or flight. So when your players are in fight or flight, now they just narrowed to 5, 7 plus the bits or byte of information that they can remember about what to do. 5 to 7 bits of information, one way or the other. They get very narrow in their focus, and they may miss something that they've been training to do for many years, but they forget it, or they're not right up to it because they can't access that part of the brain. And when you're elevated and your body thinks you're in survival, it shuts down your digestive system. It slows down lots of things, including the prefrontal cortex of your brain. So your thinking brain, your creative solution, your ability to see the whole field wherever you are, narrows, and you can't see, and you might miss what's going on over here where you would have picked that up if you've been in a calmer state.
Catch me if I'm wrong on this, but doesn't the breathing become shallow at that point too?
100%. So people don't want to feel all this ickiness, right? Especially kids. It's just like, so they hold the breath. And when they hold their breath, they're putting pressure and first of all, they're getting lower oxygen to feed all their muscles. They must breathe.
Right. Yes.
But all this jaw tension and all this holding the breath there's a vagal nerve that runs from the cranial nerve down to your heart and to your gut. And it's accessing what state you should be in: fight or flight, survival, or rest and digest. So when you're crunching down and you're holding it and you're not breathing, you're pressing down, you're squeezing on this vagal nerve that's telling you, we got to run. There's danger here. And everything starts shutting down. So holding the breath is a real problem for athletes, for sure. You'll see any golfer who's successful, and I'm sure you do it, or anybody who's up the bat, they'll take a breath, right?
Right. I try and
go ahead.
I try and point that out to my players, right? It's like, watch these guys on television. Watch how many of them take just giant breaths before they start doing that, right? It's right before they get to go to a pitch, right? They're constantly breathing, and they think about it, right? I mean, it's part of their process to make sure that they're breathing, because they know that these what you're talking about might happen, and is happening. So they counter that by proactively thinking to make sure that they're breathing, make sure that they're trying to relax. Because I'm trying to find out, mostly in this conversation, the things that I'm doing right and the things that I'm doing wrong, and want to make sure that I'm going in the right direction with these guys. And you can see it in these players, how they tense up, and trying to find them. You know, I'll often tell them to, like, you know, put yourself on the clouds up when you're on deck. You know, look up at the sky for a minute and, you know, put yourself on a cloud like you're floating by, just to try and relax a little bit. You're watching the game. You know, I'll tell them things like, think about after the game, you're going to be barbecuing, right? So no matter what, whether I get a hit here or not, I'm still barbecuing after the game. Life goes on. And are those correct type of things?
Fantastic, Scott. Fantastic. Because if you're in worst case scenario, and if this means all of your confidence, and I'm only good enough if we win or if we get it, man, you just took all the joy. And your brain, your inner child needs to have some fun. So if you're not coming at fun and excitement about a game that you were born to do, then man, you're really missing out. Those athletes, I promise you, that are doing those breaths they know the inner mind work, and they know what's happening with the physicality and how to use it for their best interest, which is you quiet down. One of the things that your athletes could do, I think I might have talked to you about this even before, and I want to give this to your audience, is just when you're waiting to go out, or you're waiting to hit, or whatever it is, check your jaw and relax your jaw. Because when you relax your jaw and open that down a little bit and breathe, now you're getting ready. Now you're telling your nervous system, oh no, we're ready for this. Now what happens when you slow things down and you relax your jaw and you take some breaths? Now you've just opened up the whole field. Now you're going to remember everything that you've learned. You're going to remember what you need to remember when you need to remember it. This is what fighter pilots do, is they quiet down, relax your tongue and jaw, and breathe. And then they can see the whole thing. Because if they're in a crisis situation and they get scared and get elevated in that brainwave, they're going to get hurt. And your athletes need to be able to see everything that's going on and remember everything that they've learned, all the memory that they have about it.
Yeah, I do a little thing that you watch players get on deck to get ready to hit, right? And they're nonstop movement, right? They're talking with people in the stands, or their nervous energy, right? They're just swinging and stuff. And I can just tell, and you know, over the years, you look at them, it's like, I don't see this player getting under control, or it doesn't look like they're getting their act together, right? They're just hyper, and they're working at a huge speed. So I came up with a technique where I have them take their bat and just lay it on their groin, basically, while they're on deck for a second.
Yeah.
As soon as you have that bat, you know, it's sitting on the ground, and they can't move, otherwise the bat will fall over.
That's fantastic.
So it forces them to stay and I swear, and I do it myself, and I'm like, that's how I came up with it. I was like, how can I get these guys to slow down? Well, how about if I stop them from moving? So what could I do? And I was like, okay. So I put the bat there, and as soon as I put the bat there, now I told them to get a good posture, right? So as soon as you get that, assume a very constructive posture, right?
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh,
yeah.
I mean, all of a sudden the game, also I see the field and everything else. And so it's like one of the.
It's great, because what you've done is you've released, so they have all this nervous energy because they're living in the future. They're not even there. They're living in all the possibilities that could happen once they get on deck, right? So, and when you expend that energy there, or even in the past, you know, if they're waiting to go and they're like, you know, last game I really screwed up, like that was really bad, I could still hear my coach's voice in my head, whatever it is, you're living in the past or you're living in the future, you're not ready to be on deck. because you need everything right here. So I love that you have them, because on their lap makes them very conscious. So it brings all of that energy right into center so they can hold still. At the same time, yeah, if they relax their jaw and take some breaths when they're doing that, they're slowing down their own brain waves. Now they just opened a door to all the access of information that they have. And I want to tell you another really, because I never just like talking. I like to give techniques, because this is what I love, the mind-body connection. It's so incredible. I have the best job in the world, truly. If they're looking out and they're ready to go on deck, right? And they're coming up and they have some spinning thoughts, bring them back, hold the bat, but also as they're staring forward at the field, and you can try it now as I'm talking to you. Look forward, right? And just relax your jaw a little bit. And now you expand your vision all the way out to the periphery where they can see the whole game, the whole dugout, wherever they are. Expand that out, and almost like you can see around you and above you and behind you.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
What does that feel like?
It kind of feels like it's an out of body. I kind of feel like I'm getting out of my head. Actually,
exactly. You're going into neutral. What you're doing, and you felt it, and many people can. You just felt you changing your own brain waves, slowing them down. I tell people when you're doing that, you're being your own hypnotist, right? All hypnosis is self-hypnosis. I don't make somebody change their brainwave, but I give them tools to be able to do it. So when you go into neutral and now you expand, you just felt the chemistry, you just felt the slower brain waves, and now you're in neutral, and now you're right here center, and you're ready to go. You're ready to be your best self when you walk up to that.
So that's a technique. So so I'd like look out at the field, or look out at the picture, and then just try and expand your view and notice the peripheral.
Yeah, just look. So what's happening is, I always like to know, I like to tell people why you're doing it. So when people are moving and they're here and then the what ifs, and I got to do great because I did it that time, they're spinning in all this chemistry elevation, and they're not remembering where they are. So and their brain is going down this automatic pathway that they've been, right? We want to, I'm sure you do this as a coach. You pattern interrupt when someone keeps doing the same thing over and over again. You got to find a way for them to flip it and do it again. So you pattern interrupt it, or you stop them before they do it again, and then you do it again. I do a lot of pattern interruption because I understand what's happening with the neurons. So when someone pays attention to the peripheral vision here, they're using the right side of the brain and the right optics and the left side of the brain. So when you're out here, notice
you're not in there.
Not going down that automatic, crap lane.
Right. Yeah. It's taking you out of that.
It is. And now you can reboot. It pattern interrupts it, and now you can get back to, okay, I'm okay here. I'm really good at what I've done. I've been training to do this, whatever the positive self-talk is. Now it can get absorbed. Because if your players try to tell yourself, I can do this, I can do it, and they're in this elevated state, it's like hitting a wall. It's not getting in. They need to go into neutral, drop that in, and then let them feel that in their body. Now they can say, now they can hear the supportive things that they're saying to each other, or even hear their coach saying, you got this, man, go for it. You can do it. You've been practicing this. You've been doing great, whatever.
So telling them to breathe is not good enough.
I would say not. I would say not, because I have to tell you, from my childhood, if someone told me just breathe, Rene, I'd flare up. What do you think? I would get really upset by it, right? Because
of course I'm breathing.
Yeah. What do you think? That I'm like, can't handle this stuff? Whatever. They hear it. By the way, a great question for you or your parents, who's ever listening, when your athlete, your son, your daughter, or anybody that you're managing has a different reaction than you expected from what they say, you ask them, what did you hear me say? I want you to ask this to your athletes. What did you hear me say? Because they're going to tell you, I heard you say that I just can't get it, and I'm like really screwing this up. That's not what you're saying, but that's what they heard, because it's distorted through the subconscious lens that they hold. So it's really important, if you want a real discussion to help people, if they're reacting in a certain way, what did you hear me say? It's an incredible way to be able to help people understand how they're filtering through in their subconscious.
So with a younger player, do you think that is mostly the imprint that they've had from coaches and parents and the stands, everybody's yelling at them when they're up there to get ready to go, and they just hear all this and they can just become overwhelmed, right?
They do come overwhelmed. They do, and it elevates them. And now they're in this chemistry, this anxiety. They can't even think about what they do, and they know they've held this bat, thousands of times, but now all of a sudden it feels uncomfortable in their hand. It's just because they're not present and they're in fear. And when you're in fear, the priority always is going to be survival. And swinging a bat is not survival, right?
Right.
It should be fun. So
what do you think about the player that seems like, I always try, and you hear this often, about letting it go, flush it, wrap it up, throw it away, right? And well, those are all great terms, right? Yeah. I mean, it sounds good in theory, right?
Yeah.
It sounds good in theory. And it's, I just seemed like, for me, I was good at being able to, I just realized that the game was going to continue, right? So he got me, right? Yeah. He got me out.
Yeah.
So, and I just wouldn't make that a self-worth thing. I kind of turned it into a competitive thing.
Yep.
And try and focus on how I could compete against that guy, right?
Sure.
To try and find a solution. Is that normal behavior, or is that?
It's healthy behavior to first of all, I have clients all the time that say, people just say, let it go. They're like, what the hell does that even mean? Like, I want to. It's because we can't outthink this. All of the change work that we want for ourselves or our athletes is got to be done subconsciously. Just like you repeat and you do muscle memory, your brain does the same thing. So it can't just be muscle and skill set here, man. It can't, because you're only playing half the picture. If your athletes do the muscle memory and the skill set and the mental stuff, like, incredible, like the game changed for them, right? But this is the thing. So how do you let them go? It's perception. Just like fear and excitement feel very much the same. The only difference really is perception, right? I'm feeling this. I can feel stuff here, but I don't go to anxiety. I'm like, ooh, wait a minute, what's going on here? And then I try to just acknowledge it and just kind of say, oh, what's happening? And then I'll understand what's happening for me. When I'm on a roller coaster, for instance, it feels very much like anxiety. I love roller coasters. Man.
Right.
Can't wait to go to Universal for the Velocicoaster. But anyway, sidetrack. It feels like fear, which is okay. Right. It's because I'm excited. So it's my perception of what happened. So when someone got you out, right, Scott? Now it's an opportunity to learn. Now it's opportunity, because if you get freaked out about it, you're not learning from it. You're only going on survival mode. But if you can stop and say, okay, what happened there, right? Oh, I got to remember this guy does this and he's tricky that way, right? And then you're going to remember. But if you don't, take a moment. I tell people to be the observer of a situation like that, especially athletes. Be the observer of what happened, not be in it and be all like, you know what I mean? And my teammates are going to be
take a step back.
Take a step back or a step up. Because when you're like if they're sitting there processing it, just go above the whole situation and look down at the field. Imagine that you just are looking down at it. What happens is it changes the way we're mapping in our brain, and we get a little bit of distance and we can process it a little bit easier. And now you have an opportunity to learn what you need to learn from the situation. You know what? I missed my step on that, or I didn't read that the right way. Those are all good things to take the opportunity to learn, because that's how we get better and better and better. But if you're beating yourself up, you've just shut down the part of your brain that's processing and learning.
That's interesting. That's interesting, because I try and coach guys just from experience, right? And I'm trying to always learn stuff. But it seemed like when I was going good, or when I'm going good, I can actually see myself at the plate hitting against a guy while he's warming up. I can visualize and see myself up there and see what he's throwing. And that is almost like an out-of-body experience, right? But there must be something going on there, because I'm doing well or whatever at the time that allows me to get out of my own head and witness it. Where when I was going bad, all right, I'm asking the hot dog vendor who's walking in the stands, you know, how do my hands look here, you know?
Right.
And you don't even know anything outside of you, outside of the on deck circle. You look out there and it's like a new pitcher and he's been out there for the last 2 batters.
Yeah.
You're
missing a lot. Yeah.
Not engaged. So
Yeah.
So what are the techniques then to do is just like you're talking about? You know,
find, you just described,
recognize first.
So acknowledge. So we can't change anything until we are aware of it, till we acknowledge it, and then we can begin to release it. So if you're trying to release it without being aware or acknowledge, right, it's not going to help you. It's not going to help you. It's still going to be in there somewhere. So have awareness. Okay, what happened there? Okay, acknowledge that. All right, I could have done that a little bit differently, right? Not from like beating yourself up, just so you can make the change. Now you can release that and learn from it. And then it's imprinted in your brain. And then it goes from short-term memory to long-term memory, so you can remember. So every time you come up against that player that got you out, you're going to read him like incredible. If not, he could just be getting you at the same thing. What you said about seeing yourself at the home plate, making the score or whatever, it's called future pacing, positive future pacing. The mind doesn't know the difference between real or created, right? You can probably close your eyes and go to a happy memory that you remember, and it's like you're there. You can smell something baking that someone's cooking, and it reminds you of every time your grandma made it, right?
Sure.
Because you're right in it again. So there are lots of different ways that we can remember. And when you're future pacing, right, it's like you're already there and you're creating all the chemistry. You're getting all your muscles ready for that to happen. So what we think about, I have a whole chapter in this second book about that, is what you see, you will get. So what you're concentrating on, you will create. So if you're like, man, I hope I don't screw up, at second base or something, guess what's going to happen? You're going to trip over your own feet and you're not even going to know why, because you just set it in motion. So be careful about what you're saying. So this is what I would say to athletes: just really be mindful, especially when they start a game. On the way to the morning of a game, I have my athletes really practice before they even get in the car or go to the stadium. You practice how you want it to go before, and then you continue every time you go into the what ifs and negativity, right back here, which is, no, I'm hitting that score. I'm doing this. That's future pacing. And now you set it all up for that reality.
How about this one? Because I've been there before, right? I know every athlete has, is where all of a sudden those thoughts start to sink in, right? All of a sudden you're thinking about the game and you have like a positive outlook, but maybe you've been struggling a little bit. And all of a sudden those thoughts start creeping in.
Yep.
Right. And it's like, uh-oh, what am I going to do? And they just try and kick them out of there. And then I'd start using some of the techniques that we've been talking about.
Yep. Yeah.
Right. About just a game, I'm barbecuing after.
Yeah.
Try and get out of your own head. Put the bat on the crotch. Look at the bird on the pole over there for a minute. And imagine you're the bird looking at the field.
Yeah.
And use some of those. And then the next thing you know, I got a clean slate.
Yeah. Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
And then it gives me an opportunity to like, now I'm re-examining the game again, and now I'm back into I'm not afraid of, I'm not thinking about failing. I'm thinking about what I need to do to succeed, and it's more of a positive light, right?
Absolutely. And we choose how we want to respond to something. And the chemistry of that only lasts about 10 to 30 seconds. So if you or your athletes are spinning around in the same thing again and again, it's because they're putting logs on the fire. They can stop that and they can choose to do it different. I always say bad days last only as long as we want them to, right? And the athletes and the parents who think that kind of beating yourself up helps them play better, it doesn't. They play better in spite of that. So if your athletes understand that they're closing down a part of the brain that they need to be able to play the game, then it makes sense for them to go into peripheral focus, to quiet down their jaw, because they have to access all parts of them. right? We wouldn't go in and only play with, you know, one hand or something, right? You know, you want to play with all that you got. And your brain is like one of your biggest assets. Like, why not? Don't forget about it. Just don't forget about it. And decide that you have to choose. Thoughts come in. The first thing that I do with people is have them aware of their thoughts. Some people, a thought comes in and it feels so uncomfortable, they push it down. And they put it in and they push it back there. And then it's just stacking up and you have all this big stuff, you know. I tell people sometimes I'm a professional garage door opener, right? Because, you know, I help people get into where they've been stuck in all that crap for their whole life, right? And sometimes you don't want to go in there. So I help them just open the door so we can go in. But be careful of what you're putting in there. Be careful. It's your choice about what you perceive. And sometimes, so be aware of your thoughts. Hear yourself beating yourself up. Okay, I hear that now. That's pretty rough. Now you acknowledge it. Okay, I'm doing that. Now you can release it by just saying, okay, it's happening. I'm aware. I'm acknowledging it. We don't want to ignore the fact that we're upset at ourselves because we missed that or we struck out. But we do want to acknowledge it, and then we can release by going into neutral and doing this peripheral focus. Another thing that you can do with your players, if they really find, is you can do bilateral, kind of like peripheral focus. If they have energy, they want it, and they want to do it. Another way to bi-track both parts of your brain, use both parts of your brain, it's called bilateral stimulation, is take a water bottle or a ball, whatever it is, and just toss it back in front of the body like this. And when you do that, you're going right brain, left brain, right brain, left brain, right brain, left brain, and you cannot go into the old cycle of thinking.
Hey, you ever play any ball? You look pretty good throwing.
Yeah. It's the rubber ball. No, I'm 5'10" when I was 12. I was a volleyball player.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of that with the jaw. I don't necessarily know how do you relax your jaw? Is it like
so first of all, if you put you just drop it down a little bit. The other thing other piece of that is, and I have this technique on my landing page for my books at practicehappynow.com. There's meditations, there's videos. I have videos for parents for all ages up to 18 years old. I break that down for them so they can understand how they're developing, and that might help the parents of your athletes get an awareness of that. Fantastic. But I have this, it's called the Alpha Sequence on that page, and people can just put in their email, they get a bonus, and they go right to the page and they can drop down whatever they want. So this is called the Alpha Sequence. So when you relax your jaw, all you do is just kind of drop it down a little bit, just a little bit. And the other piece of that is people relax their tongue. If you have a really mean voice that's spinning around, or the thoughts just spinning around and spinning around, it's like, I call that the mind melt merry-go-round, right? It's like the wheels on a bicycle. You got to put a stick in the spoke, right? You got to stop it. And a way to do that then is to relax your tongue, because your tongue is connected to the language centers in your brain.
And as soon as you said that about the jaw, dropping the jaw,
yeah,
and then you said that, I felt it immediately.
Yeah,
and I can feel my tension drop.
You do, and because you're giving a different message to your nervous system, Scott. I have all kinds of people. I also work with a lot of businessmen, and man, they're like, you saved me, because they were on a Zoom call or whatever, and they just feel how tense they are, and they're sleeping better at night. They're feeling better. They're, healthier, because they're not tense all day. The brain does not work well when we're crunchy and upset and tense. We have to relax, and we have to have some fun along the way.
There's no doubt. That would be something in your mind right off the bat. This used to be fun, right? Let's make this fun. But I always talk to guys about, just a training thing that I think is parallel to this. The 5 tools of baseball, right? You got power or whatever. What tool do you work on the least, right? And the one tool that works on both sides of the ball, offense and defense, is speed. Mm-hmm. So because everybody likes doing the fun stuff, right? Hitting and throwing, that's fun.
Yeah.
The weightlifting stuff's not that fun, and doing speed stuff is definitely not that fun. So I'll ask them, what percentage of your practice time do you spend on speed? And since I coach a lot of these guys, I know what they do with me, so they must be doing it outside, or do they do any speed work outside of what we do?
Yeah.
And the answer is so small. They do such a small part of it. And it seems like even with coaching that we are not doing enough mental coaching. We do all of this physical stuff. And like you're talking about, you could be just banging your head into the wall on, on a lot of these issues, even when because I'm sure these players, they have all these same hangups and issues, being able to relax and getting out of fight or flight in practice, right? And they'll take each practice swing and they put all their energy into, that's a good swing. Okay, that was good. Then they take a bad swing and oh, that was one bad swing. And they literally live on each little swing that they take, and there's so much pressure involved. But we're not coaching how to get away from that mentally. So, I mean, how do we move forward? And I just think that athletics has to be going in this direction, because you can only do so much physical stuff, first of all. And then how much of it is it actually hitting home?
Yeah.
And then how much of it is transferring to the game?
Yep. Yeah.
Without the mental coaching.
For sure. No, you absolutely have to do it. And this is the thing, which is harder for coaches and even parents, right? Is not one style of coaching is for every athlete. You have to be comfortable within yourself. I teach hypnotherapy. I'm an instructor. I do it for, and I mentor a lot of people. And I tell them, you can only take someone as far as you are, right? So if you're dealing with your own stuff, you're not going to be able to help your client because you're going to get caught up in your own stuff. I want to hand this out to parents and to coaches, because if you can only do one style, and if you do something else and it's bringing up some stuff for you, take a look at what's going on for you. Take a look at yourself, because you're only going to be able to take your athletes as far as you are. And I'm not talking athletics, right? There are great coaches that weren't great in the game, but they're incredible coaches, right? You see that in football, you see, right?
Right.
Because they understand how to move it around, how to move it and how to get the best out of each athlete. And I want to encourage, people to really look at your own self if you're having a hard time with that. Or if you get triggered by an athlete that you're coaching, or you get triggered by your parent, by your child, look within and find out what's going on for you. And then it will help the dynamics of everything around you, for sure.
Now, I think sometimes that's confusion for me. So, you see some players and you wonder, how do I break through this? What do I need to say? And secondly, you don't know what their issues are all the time, right? You see them, and they do have the anxiety. You can see that they're not very self-assured. And how do you deal with that, right? That's the hardest part. So that's when you go, okay, be real positive and try and build up self-esteem. Yeah. Right. But then again, is anything getting through?
Sure. So anxiety is a symptom of fear, right? So it's really about understanding what the fear is. So you'd say you're an athlete. Okay, so I see you're anxious. So what's the worst case? What's the fear, right? The fear is, and then they'll tell you, and then you'll explain to them why that isn't even an option, or why it's okay, or whatever, right? It's about that. And so, and it's really not taken on for your athletes either. They're gonna have to walk their own game. Now, with people with anxiety, and it's really bad right now. After this last year, a lot of I'm seeing a lot of kids and a lot of athletes right now are struggling. We're in Florida, so sports was not locked down like it was in other parts of the country, but it's been tough for kids who their sense of self and identity was travel games, or the game, or being with their friends. Man, it's been a hard year for a lot of those kids, because externally they had all of this. So it's real. And this is how I manage. And as a coach, I'm going to hand it out to you and your parents. If your child likes the game, the structure of the game, is a gamer on videos, whatever it is, do it like a game. Now, if you're doing a game and you're playing a game and it doesn't work, is it logical for you to keep playing that game that way? No. Like, if it's not working for you, you would change your approach. It's the same way with the emotional stuff. If that's not working for you, let's try a way to do it. And honestly, going into, make sense? Make it a game, and use where they're coming from, and then use that model to make it more logical for them And logic is incredible. It's like, is it logical for you to hold on to that? Is it helping you with the game? No. See, there's your awareness. Okay, I acknowledge it now. Then they can start to release it, right? But we can't tell someone not to feel something because they're going to feel it. And if they suppress it, it's only growing in the background.
So it's almost like playing pretend, right? I mean, like you could be
pretend.
Right. Well, yeah. Like, so I always thought when I put that catcher's mask on, right? When I got behind that mask, I was in my own world, right? I could sing and talk and do it, and people can't hear you. You know, they can't see your mouth. So it was like, you know, nobody knows what's going on back here.
Exactly.
It gave me a sense of freedom, right?
Absolutely.
And you know, it's like, remember Tin Cup? Remember the movie Tin Cup, where the caddy tells him, you know, take the change out of your pocket and put it in your other pocket and turn your hat around. And he does it. And all of a sudden he hits the ball and he goes, see, you weren't thinking about the shot. You were thinking about how stupid you looked or whatever. Right. So that's what you're suggesting.
Yes,
that's what you're saying.
Change your focus. Absolutely.
Or maybe a temperament where these guys play a little passive, try and get them to let it out, talk more out on the field.
That's the pattern interrupt that I'm talking about. Even just changing out is doing, have some fun with it. I with a lot of my students and my athletes, they'll go into hypnosis and they're aware, but they go into the stadium or they go into the locker room and their favorite, like their idol is there.
Right.
And they have a conversation, words of advice, an attribute that they really like, right? And then they get it and then they hold on to it. So now when they play the game, they remember this conversation with their hero athlete, and now they can be a part of that, and it shifts it around. It shifts the mindset because they're going to remember that while in hypnosis.
I talked with a guy the other day, really good pitcher, great arm, and he was telling me whenever he was really throwing well, which was often, he was singing to himself. And that struck me. I was like, man, I've been there. I didn't really recognize it, but I've been there. Now you're singing a song, you're up there hitting or playing, and you're so out of your own head. The focus was that song.
Yep.
And now the rest of the game comes kind of instinctually. And I feel like looking back, even doing that now, I'm actually more open to external things than I was by being closed-lipped and just trying to brain focus on it. What is that called? That's just another way of being?
So it's a pattern interrupt. So that's when you change your focus, because when you're singing, you're using a different part of your brain and you're not in that same pathway of fear, right? So he probably didn't even know what was happening in his brain. He knew that it helped him, right? So when you're singing or you're doing something else, you're shifting the part of the brain that you're using. So that's a great way to do that. And pretend's incredible. Like, that's future pacing. Like, have fun with that. Like, be somebody different at the bat and trust that, and get out of your own way for sure. Because if you don't do it, nobody's going to do it for you. A coach can't do it for you. A parent can't do it for you. You know, we have to teach these kids how to do it. Another thing that people can do is each morning when they're opening their eye, before they open their eyes, that relaxed feeling, that's a natural state of hypnosis. It's a change in a brainwave. So I have all of my people, including my athletes, see how they want the day to go, see how they want the game to go. And already before they even get out of bed, see how they want to be. And now you're talking to the boss, you're talking to the subconscious, and it's being imprinted.
And they could be waking up going, oh my God.
Yep.
Yeah, these guys play tonight. I haven't been hit. I need to go work out more.
Yep.
And I think when guys do that they're putting so much pressure on themselves now that sometimes it's like, I'll tell guys, listen, no, you don't need to go. Don't go hit today. No. Go take a nap. Go sit under a tree for a little while. Read a book. Listen to some music. Do something different. Quit pressing. Other people say you got to fight your way out of it.
Yeah.
So there's two different schools of thought, and I think some guys who do fight their way out of it and they continue to work. At some point while they're doing that, they're getting some breaks mentally because they're thinking it through.
Yeah. You can't be in it all the time. You cannot be in this all the time, because if you do, your mind's going to find a way to help you. Your body's going to find a way to help you with an injury, with some kind of behavior, maladaptive behavior or symptom to manage it. Because if you're beating yourself all the time, your mind's going to go, no, 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 we can't do this for much longer. You know, why don't you just smoke some weed, or why don't you just drink something here to help you feel better? And now you're training your brain that when you're stressed, you need weed or alcohol or food or something, or sex. So it's just about paying attention for yourself without your mind creating this kind of maladaptive, you know, behavior or habit that's going to affect you, really. So it's really important to understand that. I have a whole chapter in my first book, How Big Is Your Butt, B-U-T, called Don't Forget to Have Fun No Matter What. I don't care who you are, how successful you are. If you're at it all the time, you're not living, you're missing out on a lot. I am certain that it's affecting your relationships. Take time out, and you're going to be so much more effective when you come back in. It's pretty remarkable. So I love that you tell your people to like read a book. There's something called the law of reversed effect, which is the harder you try consciously to make a change or to do something, the subconscious mind pulls away. So it's not even there to help you, and you need it there to help you because you want to play with all that you have. So don't try so hard, and you'll different. Don't take it so seriously. Yeah.
Now I'll have guys who hit right-handed, and they hit right, and they're working and things on. Dude, let's just turn around and hit left-handed for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
And and then they're having fun, and I'm like, well, now you can, you know, examine your swing from the right side and check it out from the left side. You can probably find out what's missing.
Yeah.
You know, something. Yeah. If anything, like you're saying, it's just now they're hitting left-handed. It's like walking forward or walking backwards. It's that brainwave change, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's just using a different part of your brain, and then you're going to feel the difference when you go back to the right. Pattern interrupt. Yeah. Pattern interrupt.
Right. I'm gonna sound like I know what I'm talking about here.
There you go. You're okay. I'll send you a cheat sheet, Scott. You could just be right there. You can always send them off to get the technique, the alpha brainwave, relax your tongue in your jaw and breathe. That's really incredible. I see a lot of people with anxiety, and that really just puts people on neutral.
Well, I definitely, I want to make sure that we get your information on my website.
Yeah, you'll put that down.
We can get that stuff out. It's so important. I don't want to keep you all day. I know you're busy.
We could talk about this forever. We could.
Right?
We do have to end at some point. Yeah, it's been a lot. I was going to ask you.
A big issue for me, it ended up being big part of the reason why I stopped playing was I got the throwing yips, right? And oh my, that was horrible. Yeah. I don't wish that upon anybody. And then come to find out, so many players that I played with had that. And so the next thing you know, you see these guys, they're really good players and all stuff, and they're just gone.
Yeah.
And they're not playing anymore.
No, then you find out they're moved down, something happens. Yeah.
Right. And so I've tried to work out a lot of that stuff. I tried to do it. And it was so bad. Even not even on the field, just throwing BP, or I wouldn't even play like intramural softball or anything like that to you, right? Because I'd have to throw the ball first. So I finally did, and it was like I'm hyperventilating out there. And you throw it. I threw it good, and I guess it validated me. And I threw a strike to the first baseman. And I was like, oh, like it's this weight. No, the weight came off a little bit. But that to me, whoever can come up with solving those type of issues, the yips or anything, I'm sure that some of these techniques would help. There's probably not one thing that you can just go, that solves it, right?
No, it's you have to get it at from all angles. It's just why I love my job as a hypnotherapist, because we get to look at all angles, right? And there's some repetitive stuff that has to go. You can't just do this peripheral focus once and then like, oh, I'm great again, right? We have to retrain our brain just like we retrain again and again for a skill. So it may take a little time. What you just said was a perfect example of this pattern interrupt and just moving to the other side of this, which is I'm going to do it. I acknowledge that, and I'm going to do it. But when you got worried about it, and that last time that you screwed that up is in the front of your brain, and that's the lens, you've just shut down your brain and you can't remember how to throw.
Right.
So it really comes to opening up and getting into this quieter brainwave. When players are in the zone, it means they're playing in an alpha brainwave, and they're like in this light hypnotic trance, and they can see everything before it happens.
Right.
That's when they're in the zone. It means being in a light hypnotic trance. So why not go there as much as you can?
That is fantastic. I'm digging that, man.
Yeah,
that's like you're like almost like in a dream world, right? You can see everything and the colors, and it's just kind of coming to you. You're not getting in your own way.
No, exactly. You're open to all of it, and you remember without even thinking about how to throw a ball, right? So, or how to catch or whatever. You could see it. How can you see a ball that's coming like, it's because you instinctually know, and you're open, and you get a sense of it, and you really do that when you're in a quieter brainwave. So, before we go, I just want to just tell everybody, you can make these changes for yourself. You can pay attention to how you're talking to yourself, or if you're a coach or a parent, how you're talking to your athlete, but really know that the change can happen. It's never too late to make the changes that you want. And you can't just think about it. Change is not going to happen here. It happens here. And how do we get here is by going into a slower brainwave, doing some kind of regular technique, doing some kind of meditation daily. There's a high price to pay if you don't quiet your own brain waves through the day. Right. And that could be like Headspace or Calm, or it could be just, people who run. They do it because they're in a trance, right?
Sure.
Chemistry. So find a way to quiet your mind on your own, and life will just open up for many, many reasons in many, many ways.
Well, Rene, as enlightening as today's discussion was, and it's fascinating, we need more, right? So what were the two books, your two books again? Let us know how we can get to those. Where do we find those?
Sure. They're all on Amazon, where books are sold, but Amazon's the easiest way to get it. I have it in Kindle and in hard copy. I haven't made audios yet. That's a lot of work. So I just haven't had the time break away from what I do here in my office in Maitland, Florida. But so my first book is How Big Is Your Butt? B-U-T. It's really about things that are blocking us. I want to change that swing butt, right? I want to do this butt, or right. I want to stop, worrying, but that's the blocks. And my second book, because I have just seen how people worry, and worry leads to fear, and worry stops people, and they become this subconscious agreement, is called Breaking the Worry Agreement. And I give a lot of tools and techniques in both of those books about what's going on in the subconscious mind and how to begin to change it.
Wow, this is great stuff, man. I can't wait for our readers and everybody else to check this out. It's going to be so helpful. I mean, this is where it's at, right? This is where I find my biggest frustration, because teaching the physical game, I've been doing that forever, and I can find the answers for that. Those are easy, right? I mean, done it so long, you can figure out how the patterns to the swing is the swing. This is how you catch a ball, but how do you break through and let these guys really play freely, right? And open and get after it. And that's the search, man. That's like the holy grail. If we can get just techniques to get them going in the right direction. How many players out there are really holding themselves back by having all these things in their way, right? And if we can break down some barriers and open them up, man, they can enjoy the game and life and everything else.
Sure. And don't be afraid to look in. People are like, oh, that happened a long time ago. That's just your analytical mind. I have to tell you, we think we turn down the volume, but it's still playing in the background, even for our young kids, our young athletes. So the answers aren't out here. The answers are all in here. And just use some techniques and feel comfortable enough, learn something to be able to go in. And really, I say practice happiness. Success is not going to come and sit in your lap, man. You have to create it and do it within, and practice that state, and it'll happen for you.
Awesome, Rene. Thank you so much for your time today.
You're so welcome. If anybody has any questions about what we talked about, my email is renebrenthypnosis@icloud.com. I'd love to hear from readers and listeners all the time. So reach out if you have any questions about what I'm talking about today. Okay.
Super do. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Scott. So much fun.